going to be really interesting because I gained upwards of 500 subs this week. So...
For what?
My 2 videos. I just had 2 videos break 80,000 views in the past 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I think I just broke 7,400 subs. So hopefully we'll get a lot of new people in here. I'm always scared when we get new people on The Last Word though, because it's a little bit...
toxic.
Yeah, well, not only that, it's a little bit different than a traditional stream. You know, I like having like a raid stream or something whenever to introduce that many new people. I want to make sure I'm live, but it's whatever. Tis be whatever. But yeah, I think once at like 88,000, I'll probably more than likely they'll be my first 2 videos to break 100,000 views, especially with Christmas coming up. So it'll
invite me if you can.
Yeah, give me a second to clear out this lost sector. Are there people in chat? Farming exploits equals good. That is correct. That is the name of this title or the name of this stream, man. We're gonna be talking about that. Yeah, here, let me invite you. Oh, rip, we're not in a party. Shoot, give me a sec. Look at me being a nub. So yeah, so people who are in chat, first off, welcome if you're new to the channel. And since we are going to be talking about farming in this episode, for the entirety of the episode, maybe, if you guys get bored, tell me, and I'll obviously switch activities. But I plan on farming tokens just to kind of get my point a little bit more across. So here. Oh, I invited you to a party. Don't do that. Join that second one. And yeah, we'll be talking about the awesomeness that is farming exploits. Why I believe it is a huge step in the right direction for Destiny. Jay-Z, as soon as you spawn in, you're going to hop into the lost sector, like the little hole right in front of the ground.
Yeah, in Winding Cove.
Yeah, Winding Cove, yeah. And then you're going to take a left. It's like a little ledge thing. It's pretty high up. But yeah, we're gonna talk about this. We're going to have some good constructive feedback, and I'm going to be pretty excited. I want you to get up here so I can explain the farm real quick before we actually start the stream, like the discussions, because it would be weird if halfway through the last word I'm like, all right, Jay-Z, now we just run back and forth and you know, explaining it. Dang. I guess while we're waiting, we can talk about some other stuff. Freaking Call of Duty Zombies brought the heat this year, man. So good. So it's like
how is the game as a whole, like the story? Did you
I have never been a huge fan of Call of Duty campaigns. I don't think I'll ever beat it. I might for the achievements. Really? I mean, there's some good ones, like the Modern Warfare series was spot on. I like the concepts of the Black Ops series, especially Black Ops 1. But past that, it's meh. It's, you know, I play for the zombies. Multiplayer is, the World War II multiplayer is absolutely fantastic. It's, I can't really compare it to Destiny multiplayer. They're kind of two different beasts. But the new Zombies mode is it's as good as Black Ops 3 Zombies, maybe Black Ops 1 Zombies. There's only one map, well, one real map right now, so it's kind of hard to discern, but it's really good. Yeah, so you just come to me, I killed everything.
So, like, me being a history buff, like, I'd want to go through that story. World War II.
Right, World War II, right. Yeah, I mean, it's all the guns feel really good. I'm sure it'd be fun. So open this chest, and now you come here, and we run, and we don't have to be in the same instance. We can race. Scaldian was saying how he was racing brotherly, and then you come to here where it says Winding Cove on your screen, and then you run back in, and you wait for these doors to open, and then you open the chest. And then we do this 4 feet run over and over and over and over. And it's going to be a good day. Sound good?
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Then we can go and start. Hey guys, Scare9 here. Welcome back to my channel today for episode 42 of the Last Word podcast. I don't know what that weird pause was. That was weird. Anyways, joined as always by Jay-Z Basketball. How you doing, man?
What's up? I'm good. How's
good.
Everybody doing?
Thank you for not having an awkward pause. At least one of us can keep ourselves composed.
Well, you know, I try to be as awkward as possible, but you know.
There's a difference between awkward and just straight up like just unprofessional, right? So you gotta. Oh man, but yeah, as you guys can tell on screen, today's topic is going to be about farming. If you get bored with the farming gameplay in the background, let me know. I can go do something else. I just thought since we were going to be discussing why I believe and why I think Jay-Z believes, but we'll get into it later. Farming is a good thing for Destiny 2, specifically exploits like this. I thought it would be appropriate to have gameplay of it in the background. But if you guys start to get dizzy because I am running like a total of 10 feet or something, let me know. I can load up a strike or something if that's more enjoyable. But as always, the main focus of The Last Word is discussion. So let's go ahead and let's get into the actual discussion. So the first thing, as always with the weekly update, there's a couple new things. I think the most important part of the weekly update that isn't an actual topic that we're going to talk about is this concept called Clarion Call. And it's something it seems like they're going to be doing once a season. And when doing certain activities with certain people or certain things, you're going to earn double XP. So I believe this starts next week. I totally did not check the dates. If you're in chat, if you could go ahead and check the date for me, that'd be great. Anyway, I believe it's next week, some of the last weeks of Season 1. If you are in a fire team with another person, you gain double XP. And of course, that is super important. It'll help you rank up your clan to get you to max level so you get the exclusive staff. And it will help you earn more bright engrams so you can get the exclusive ships, sparrows, and emotes that will be going away at the end of Season 1. And so it just helps everyone pretty much complete their collections, which is pretty cool. Is that going to entice you to play it all, Jay-Z? Like a double XP type of thing, or?
I mean, our clan's already max rank. I'll probably play some, but
yeah,
not any more than I would be right now until at least the DLC comes out.
Yeah, I don't think it'll affect me too much. I mean, probably not actually, because I've got pretty much everything from bright engrams I want. One thing will be really interesting if they don't fix this farm that we're doing right now. If you notice, every time we open the chest, we're getting 300 XP. With double XP, this will be by far the fastest way to level up in the game. So
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so next week you're gonna have a bunch of people still running this exploit purely for the XP over and over and over again in a fire team. It is next week. Thank you to Jason, the Master King, for pointing that out. But yeah, so it's a cool little thing they're throwing in there. If you get a late start on a season, if you join a clan a little bit late, or you create one halfway through a season or whatever, it allows you to catch up with everyone else, which is pretty nice. But they did say that if you're a solo player, not to worry, because in future seasons and future weeks, they will have different types of clarion calls that do not require you to be with people. I imagine they will be kind of like activity specific, which is pretty nice. Past that, they address some problems with guided games that they're going to be fixing. For instance, in order to host a Leviathan raid, you are going to have completed the Leviathan raid, which makes complete sense. Some other stuff, ratings, if you lag out, it doesn't completely lose that team. You don't get negative Oathkeeper score and stuff that they're working on. They also said that they are working on an emote wheel. So originally, when they said that they were working on customizable emotes, I was under the impression that we would just get to customize our 4 slots. But according to the This Week at Bungie, they seem to be pretty adamant on an entire wheel, is what I got from it.
Yeah, they should do that, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
a lot of other games have that, and there's no reason why they shouldn't have done it to begin with in Destiny 2.
Can you imagine, like, 4 seasons from now, depending on how many slots are in the wheel, of course, but 4 seasons from now, you'll be able to be wearing like 20 exotics, because you'll have like 10 exotic emotes in the wheel, and then, or even more than that. I think that's pretty funny, because in Destiny 1 you had people trying to get as many exotics as possible on, with like the exotic emblem from going flawless, and the life exotic, faction exotics and stuff. So you're going to be able to wear like 20 in Destiny 2. It'll be pretty funny.
It'll be nice because like there's so many times where you just have to go into the menu and switch things, and instead of doing that, you can just put all your favorite emotes, all the ones that you want to use, and even like emotes that can be helpful for gameplay. Like you can put them all on there as well. Like
That's fair.
Like over here or go there, or stuff like that. Especially if somebody's not on mic, you can kind of point stuff out, and like you wouldn't be doing that now, because like why would I do that when I can put one of the cool emotes on?
Well, yeah, right.
So yeah, I mean you have a point, but like there's other ones that, especially in Destiny 1, they had a lot that could help you in gameplay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's something. It's one of those things that probably should have been in the game to start with, but
Oh, yeah.
it's an example of the live team just being the badasses that they are. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the weekly stuff, other than our first topic, which is the reset time changing. Yeah, so other than that, our first real discussion topic, they are actually, for the first time in 3 years, close to 3.5 now, or like 3.25, they are switching the daily and weekly reset times from 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, with daylight savings, to, and that's Eastern time, to noon Eastern time, to 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock in the morning, over where Bungie is on the Pacific time zone, which is really, really interesting. So no longer will you have to stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning to go visit Xur. None of that shenanigans. Everything will be super nice at noon Eastern the following time. And they actually said that they did that to like correlate with releases, because I don't know if you guys remember with things like let's say the Rise of Iron, because the Rise of Iron launched on a Tuesday and it came out at, I believe, 6 o'clock in the morning, there was like a couple hour gap there where things wouldn't reset yet. Or no, it came out at 4 in the morning, I believe, maybe 5. I don't know. Either way, there's a couple hour gap there where the weekly reset didn't occur and it screwed things up. That happened a lot with things like Iron Banner and like the Dawning and stuff. Things that launched at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon as well were really screwed over by that, because whenever the reset did switch, there was like 5 hours. And so any activities that you completed there didn't award you any loot, and it was just a big mess. So they're switching it, and that leads me to believe that all DLCs now, at least for the time being, are going to launch at 12 o'clock Eastern, which is pretty cool. Do you think that's a fair assumption to make from that, Jay-Z?
Yeah, and I like that because it's not going to affect me one way or other, because I work, Monday through Friday. So,
Mm-hmm.
The noon time would be closer to, if I had the day off, would be closer to when I get on to play anyways, closer than 5 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning would be, or 4 o'clock in the morning now. So
I think Bungie actually saved me, because December 5th, which is the launch day for Curse of Osiris, is actually my very last day of classes. So I actually have a class from 11 to 12 that day, so I might be able to dip out a little bit early and catch the release, which would be really nice.
nice.
I really hope they announce that it releases at noon, because that means I would be able to stream it and be all up there with the other content creators. That would be really fun. So yeah, that's really nice. That does apply to weekly stuff. So Xur will no longer disappear on Tuesday at like 6 in the morning either. It'll go over to noon, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so that's pretty much stuff. So let's see. Scarrow Jr. just said noon, no way. I think that's a good thing, but it could be a bad thing. Who knows?
Who was Scarrow Jr.?
That's running from
Okay.
yeah. Just one of my best subscribers. That's who.
Yeah.
we for a while there we had Scarrow Jr., Scarrow's uncle, Scarrow's son. Like we had a whole family. Victoria's Mrs. Scarrow. It's pretty awesome.
So running, I think we might want to strive for some better life goals, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh goodness. Yeah, so there's always that. So past that, I think another thing I really want to talk about was the Gauntlet Challenge. If you guys don't know, I didn't make a video on this. By the time we got on and figured it out and did it, Dado had a video on it. Everyone had a video on it, and why waste my time doing that when I can study for my, graduation test or make other better content for you guys? So I didn't bother with it. If you guys really want one, I can make one. It wouldn't take too long, but it's pretty easy to explain. Essentially, it's 2 teams of 3 people, and each of the 3 people has a different job all 3 rotations. So if you have player 1, 2, and 3, player 1 will run the first round. Player 2 will only punch the scions, and player 3 will only jump on the plates. And then, for round 2, so after the first player makes it through, then you'll switch, and you can never have the same position more than once. It's really easy. Most people already ran that strategy or a very similar strategy. Honestly, kind of disappointing. I'm not going to lie, but I was hoping it was going to be something like you can't miss any of the arrows, or no one can die.
Hypothesized. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was, no, I liked it because we never ever did that strategy where one person gets all the plates, one person gets all the all the scions, one person punches all the scions and the other person gets all the plates, and then you switch. So uh, it was interesting. It was decently challenging, but it was fun. Like it wasn't like you know I didn't think it was like I'm scared for Callus Challenge. That's basically like that terrifies me. It's not even
Well,
up yet.
look, you know what's really scary about the Callus challenge is we were having trouble cheesing Callus. Like,
Yeah.
uh
Well,
oh.
it's just because people like put their guard down where they're just like, oh, it's just gonna be so easy, and then you make stupid mistakes.
Yeah, some of our best players died 3 times and ads aren't even spawning.
And then rage quit.
And then rage quit.
I don't want to call any names out, Josh, but I'm not sure who was Josh.
But it's fun. Like I'm actually kind of glad that it's that difficult because it does allow for really fun moments for that, and it makes it like whenever you actually do complete it legitimately, it's like that much better. Like whenever you are dying because of glitching on Oryx over and over and over again, when you beat them, you're just like, I'm freaking out of here. I'm done. I'm never doing this raid again. With Callus, it's like, we finally beat him. We've been trying this for 2 weeks because there isn't really any glitching going on. It's all user error. Yeah. And so if you manage to get through and beat him one time, you have learned and you've progressed so much as a player that either you'll get it like on your first try next time, or you'll be more consistent rather. Which is really nice. And then especially like whenever you get the full set, like I do right now, just gonna casually flash on stream. That's that. Now I could go into Callus in 1 minute blind, right? Like, no, I cannot. I'm taking that way back. But I feel very confident like that I can fulfill my roles and help my teammates do some of their roles on Callus. And it's
I think the only problem with that encounter though is it's not new team friendly. So like even if you have a bunch of experienced people, everybody does it differently, and you have to be on point, especially outside. Like if you're not, that encounter is just hell.
That's a really good point. We spend a lot of time comparing the Leviathan to King's Fall, but in some ways, it's really not the same because with a lot of things with the Leviathan, there's so many strategies. For, Baths, you can rotate top or side to side or 4-man rotation. For Gauntlet, you can do a no rotating strategy or a complete rotating strategy. For Dogs, you can, damage them or try to one-phase them. Like, there's so many things. But with, like, King's Fall, it was like Ward Priest was... Every team you did was left, right, center. Golgoroth was always one orb strategy.
But I think that marks a good encounter when there's multiple ways to beat it. And
I say it does a complex encounter. I wouldn't... there's a couple encounters that there's multiple ways to beat that could... Bats, for instance. Bats isn't the best encounter. I feel like they could have done something else where Bats is, especially now that I've done Bats so many times. I feel very confident in saying they probably could have put something a little bit higher quality in that encounter slot.
No, I agree. That to me that should have been like one of his sub minions. Like,
yeah, exactly. It should have been a boss.
Yeah. Especially since they do the rotation, so it's not like all these are set. So like even though that was the week 1 first thing, if they put a little sub boss there, it could have been the week 1 third thing, and then But
it's just weird going from like 3 to 4 bullet sponge bosses to 1 and 3 weird. Technically like Dogs are a DPS check, but it's not like they're too difficult. The main part of the encounter isn't doing damage. No, it's collecting the stuff, right?
Yes. And that's a good breakup of the mix of like other mechanics. So I like that encounter for that. But yeah, I wish that they had some kind of sub boss in that raid. Just because bosses are fun. Like that's defeating bigger enemies is a fun thing to do.
And that kind of goes back to the discussion where we were having a couple weeks ago, where I don't necessarily mind that. Like we can make these criticisms, but at the end of the day, if every raid is 2 bullet sponges, 2 abstract encounters, and they're just different encounters, the pattern will probably get a little bit old. So I'm glad that they took a step back, but I'm just hoping from now on every raid isn't 3 weird DPS checks plus 1 major bullet sponge. Like I want some variety in there.
I actually thought Wrath did it really well because Vosik wasn't really a DPS sponge. he was more mechanics based boss, in my opinion.
That's fair.
Um,
It was weird because his bullet sponge wasn't bullets; it was those Siva clusters, right?
yes, yeah.
So
You could two phase him if you threw the Siva clusters at him most times.
yeah,
You know, so like he was. I thought that was a really good boss encounter that they did. Probably one of their second behind. I like Golgoroth, but probably their second best. And I wish that they had something
I
that was
think how
mechanics based.
Golgoroth was supposed to be done was really
Yes,
nice. But
could have been.
but has anyone ever done a 6 orb strategy
No,
on
no.
Golgoroth?
I think we tried it like the first night,
And then we were like, screw that 1 orb strategy.
and then
like,
yeah, that's not happening. Let's let's try this. So
yeah. Yeah, I feel like what Golgoroth should have been is completely infuriating, but it would have made for a good encounter.
I
It,
think we would have learned it though, just like we, like all these other boss encounters. We
that's
eventually
fair.
learned it, and you eventually get it down, but like we never took the time to do it because 1 orb was so much easier.
And it was kind of, Goldcroft has always been plagued by that because even the challenge was, it started off really tough, and then by like the second rotation, it was just everyone running in circles, right?
Yeah.
It just, Golgoroth is one of those encounters where it's supposed to be done a certain way, but it's extremely easy to find workarounds for it. But still, I like a variety. I like encounters like that. I think Leviathan is a nice mix. I would have, like we said, preferred something else instead of baths. But I'm interested to see how that progresses to future 6-man raids we get. Of course, probably not getting a full raid with the Curse of Osiris, but with the Warmind DLC, I assume we will be getting a full raid. And I'll be really interested to see how they tie that in and what they do with that, especially with something like Rasputin, a Warmind. Is he on our side? Is he the bad guy? If he is on our side, who the hell are we fighting, right? Like, it's going to be a really interesting raid to expand upon whoever the bad guy is. If Rasputin ends up being the bad guy, which will be kind of contradictory in itself, but if he does end up being the bad guy, what happens? Like, I'm really interested. I guess it's kind of weird to be talking about DLC 2 before DLC 1 even launches, right? But
Well, let me ask you this, because I want to hear your opinion. If it's not a full raid, because we talked about earlier, we thought it would be a bad PR move on Bungie's part to not include a full raid on all their future DLCs. If it's not a full raid, or do you think that's a good move? Like, I know we want to see what it is before we make judgment, but like,
are you saying if it's not a full raid with the Curse of Osiris or with the Warmind? Okay.
Everything. Yeah.
So if they do 2 non-raids in a row, bad move, way bad move. Whenever you do, like, I guess the best metaphor is with bands, right? When bands want to expand and do something creative, 1 album. You do not do 2 experimental albums back to back. That is never a good move. You'll lose your fan base. It's bad. You kind of reach out, you see what works, and then you return back to normal. You stabilize your fans, you stabilize the people who play your game. Then, after maybe 1 or 2, you reach back out, you try something a little bit different. It's kind of like, we had Vanilla set the tone for raids. We had Crota kind of cemented that. House of Wolves was like a little like, will this work? Meh. And then when they saw the fallback, they went boom, right back to King's Fall, right back with a solid raid. And then with Rise of Iron, they gave us another really solid raid, which of course that was supposed to be the Leviathan. And if they followed the original timeline, that would be Destiny 2, thus would be the Leviathan. And then the very next one would be this Curse of Osiris abstract raid activity. So I like them reaching out a lot. I think that's a very good move. If they just keep giving us raid after raid after raid, normal 6-man raids, we're gonna see right through that. At the end of the day, everything's 1s and 0s. Every encounter is either a DPS check, a bullet sponge, or a weird running puzzle type thing. Like, everything's gonna fit into one of those 3 categories. There might be a 4th that I'm not thinking of. But so I like them kind of branching out. Of course, we don't know what it is. But everything that they've said so far points towards it being being something more abstract, which I think is a very good move. But there's no way they're going to do it twice in a row.
So would you be okay with them, like, Destiny 1 had 4 raids, both the yearly updates, year 2, year 3, had a new raid, and obviously Crota that was 3 months into the game. Would you be okay if they released the raid every 6 months or every 9 months or something like that?
Let's think
Or
about that. I think if they are doing one main expansion, two little expansions per year, I think it should go. Let's just take Destiny 1. So Destiny 2. So Destiny 2 launches, you have the Leviathan, a really solid, good raid. DLC 2 brings something a little bit more abstract. DLC 1 brings something a little bit more abstract. DLC 2 has a smaller raid, maybe a little bit more simpler. Something along the lines of Crota or Wrath of the Machine. Wrath of the Machine was really well done, but it was more short, obviously. So do like a major raid, something abstract, something like a medium raid, and then because you have different teams working on it, whenever you roll around to September, then you have another really big raid. So pretty much having one of each type of raid content, that being a really good, well thought out raid, one medium-ish shorter raid, and one abstract raid concept per year. I think that's the perfect rotation.
Okay, because for Wrath, that's obviously my second favorite raid, and I think that they did a really good job of making it short but still like content heavy at the same time. They packed it all into a raid almost the size of Crota, but way better than Crota in my opinion. Like way better than Crota. So yeah, I could agree with you on that. Like I think that they need to pop more than one like raid a year, because that's what they were doing in Destiny 1 towards the end. And
I think most of that was the team, they went from having 2 or 3 teams working on different expansions to working on, one team. And what I just found out, Curse of Osiris is not Christopher Barrett's team, and it's not Luke Smith's team. It's a guy I've never even heard of, something Samuels, I think. I forget the name. It's like a completely different lead that has never been a lead before. So that's another thing I really like. I guess the best way to compare that would actually be to, look at the Star Wars movies, what they're doing. They're getting a new independent director to do every single movie to see what works, to get a different aspect and different creative standpoint. And I feel like if they start doing that a little bit with the different expansions and the raids, you're gonna get more variety. You're gonna get a lot more, like a wider audience that enjoys the game and different. Because if you just have like Luke Smith do it every time, only people who like the stuff that Luke Smith likes are gonna like what he does or the game.
What I was gonna say. It's gonna bring a different point of view to mechanics, or different mechanics that wouldn't have been thought of by other raid teams.
Right.
So it can only benefit the game, especially if like they can do a raid like say year 3 and bring a lot of some of the mechanics, or similar type mechanics of all like the best mechanics in the raids to that point in time together for that. So yeah, that like the more points of view that you have, the more possibility that you have of something being great.
Exactly. And that's what I like a lot. And some of this, that's why I get so angry at people kind of, change is never accepted. Like, an audience will never accept change right off the bat. But how do we know that this abstract, what I'm assuming, obviously, I keep on reiterating that we don't know for sure that what is with the Curse of Osiris isn't the full raid, but the way they're tiptoeing around it, I think Bungie is going for something different, and they know that the feedback is going to be negative. So they're waiting so they can show us a little bit of whatever it is. And so when people freak out without even trying it, it makes me irritated, because you might end up really liking it, right? So
well, or the opposite way, like they hyped up Prison of Elders so much, and it was kind of a letdown after the first couple times.
Yeah, I think I don't think they'll make that mistake again. I think they now know, because you have to imagine, right? That was right after Crota. So they were like, okay, they're still trying to find their footing of what is a deep enough piece of content. And then I don't really have any reason to believe that they'll fall short of the mark, because the only 2 pieces of real content we got after that hit it on the freaking nose. Like, they hit their stride, right? They're finding it. The next 3 pieces of content, even, you have King's Fall, Wrath of the Machine, the Leviathan, like boom, boom, boom. They didn't miss a stride, unfazed at all. And so when people are kind of like, oh, I hate Prison of Elders, Bungie screws up so much, like that was when they were still discovering what Destiny was.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all. So I'm excited to see. I know we seem to have this conversation like every time, but I just wish people would calm down, be okay. There's no way in hell it's going to be a reskinned Vault of Glass. That it would be the dumbest move. That's literally committing franchise suicide. Like it's not. There's no way they would ever do anything like that. There's just no way.
Well,
so,
and I think they learned from the one issue that we really have with Leviathan, where, it's not as rewarding as it should be.
The sweet loots aren't present.
Yeah,
they're off in a different universe.
Yes, exactly. So like, I mean, as long as they bring the loot, the main point of the game, for some people, obviously playing as a team through a tough activity is fun, but like,
yeah.
But loot is the whole, that's the reason why you do it week to week for most people, to get the loot. And if you don't have it, then there's nothing for them to grind for. So
yeah, exactly. And I think Bungie is a lot better at learning from our feedback than we give them, just because they don't fix something immediately. Yeah. It's a lot easier to plan to give the Curse of Osiris really good loot and to start working on that now than to retroactively go back into the Leviathan and fix that loot system, right?
And I think they will if they ever bring an Age of Triumph type activity to Destiny 2. There's 2 2s in there to Destiny 2. I think that they will rectify that issue. They'll bring some kind of, even if it's a reskin weapon. I don't freaking care. Just put something in the loot table. But yeah, there's no reason for them to do it now, especially since depending on what the raid-like activity or the next DLC is going to bring another raid, hopefully, knock on wood. So that raid will not necessarily be obsolete, but people won't be playing it like they did before. So it'll kind of be put on the back shelf, back burner, so to speak, and revisit it obviously at a later time, hopefully.
And it's it's nice. I'm excited to see it. It's exciting to look forward to something in the future. Like I say that every week too, but it really isn't. Just like at the end of Destiny 1, people were like, fix this. No. I would rather them focus on Destiny 2, especially, the live team is now taking over. You have to imagine they had all that extra time to help develop whatever they're doing next, private matches or whatever. They now had those extra months because they weren't focused on Destiny 1 to start implementing stuff into Destiny 2. So do not fix vanilla Destiny 2 right now, especially when we are now less than a month away from the Curse of Osiris. Absolutely focus all of your resources on that, and then after that launches, obviously focus on balancing and any glitches and stuff. But past that, focus on the freaking the Warmind DLC. And any events that we're going to have in between. Because you have to keep in mind, we're also having the Dawning starting sometime in Season 2. We have all this content. Don't work on what we have now. Work on the future. Get us more. Yes. Let's jump into a little bit of stuff. So Zessie says, Prison of Elders was good after the revamp, the April update. The game needs to be rewarding with a tough challenge they have to work for. That's actually a really good point. Challenge of the Elders was really good, but it died off quickly.
Yes.
I like the idea of them rotating the bosses, but still at the end of the day, there was still only 8 bosses, 2 per arena, 4 arenas, 8 bosses, I think.
Right.
So, add more variety to that. Even if it's something simple, people are going to appreciate a reskin more than nothing at all, right?
Yeah,
so
I think we played that for, I don't know if you played it, was Josh and a few other people. We played that for about a month, and then I think it got kind of stale after that when they brought that back. So, they couldn't even put a nice coat of paint on it to make it super playable. It wasn't
I think the biggest thing with the Challenge of Elders was the free 335 light stuff at the time. Or it wasn't even 335 back then, was it? No, it was 335. Yeah. And so that was really awesome. You had the sweet sniper, the Her Fury, I believe it was called, was my favorite sniper in the game. It was just gorgeous. Yeah, it was
that medium impact one that bought for so many things.
It was so good. But the Challenge of the Elders was the first activity I believe, where I actually covered every week. Like I did all 16 weeks a guide on what bosses are here, best way to do your challenges, what the stuff was, and I really enjoyed doing that. It did get stale after a couple of months, but it was still pretty fun. That was a good way to take a pretty dry, boring activity and give it a nice twist. That was appreciated by everyone. I like that. Let's see, what else is next? Jason the Master King, lol, what if Vault of Glass on Nessus is revealed today? No, not gonna happen. They will never do it. And that's something I actually meant to tip on, but I forgot. At the end of this week at Bungie, they actually hinted that we would find out what the raid activity is on Wednesday whenever they do their live stream. Which is which I don't. That doesn't make sense because I believe Wednesday is the places you will go. But the way Cosmo worded it, he said we'll talk more about those activities on Wednesday, which is really weird.
So let me ask you this: what if, like, say, like, and I keep bringing back the Age of Triumph, from Destiny 1. What if their Age of Triumph activity, or their update, brought back Destiny 1 raids? Would you be happy with that? As well as
are you saying like at the end of like a 3-year cycle?
Yeah, so like,
yeah.
10 raids total,
yeah.
or whatever. You know,
I would be fine even if they kept the same graphics stuff. They just, I can't imagine the engine's too different. If they were able just to import it and not make too many changes, I think that would be cool just to give people more time or more things to do. In 3 years, 50% of the player base isn't gonna have played Destiny 1. I think that'll be pretty cool.
So, well, it'll be an introduction to this is the history of Destiny.
Yeah.
From 1 to 2. Now.
Yeah, instead of like Age of Triumph, if they titled it like a decade of Triumph, obviously it wouldn't have been 10 years our time, but maybe in the Destiny world. I don't think it's supposed to be real time. It might be. I could be wrong about that. But
I don't see him doing that, but that's like something that would be cool.
Yeah, that would absolutely be cool.
To Destiny 1 as well, with the Destiny 2 engine, obviously. Especially
with Infusion, there's no point in bringing back the Leviathan raid because we can just infuse the stuff up, right? Yeah. So yeah. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think I'd be down for that. Let's see. Julio de Onda Oriena. I'm so sorry. I butchered your name. Said Scarrow for president. You have to be 35 to run for president. Sorry. Plus, you think I can beat Kanye West? You're out of your mind, dog. I have like 7,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Plus, do you really want me as president? I say a lot of really offensive things. Right? Like, I might have good ideas, but I tell people good ideas. I'm not...
But similar to what Kanye West does, where he just speaks his mind without even thinking.
At least I can. At least people.
Does the same thing.
I do. At least mine are intelligent thoughts, though. Like you gotta give me that. Like
I'll give you that. Yeah, like you have some good ideas, but like you're also kind of set in your idea frame too.
Yeah. Jay and Weaver says, "Wait, what if there's a Fallen raid? That wouldn't really fit the Curse of Osiris. It's a Vex themed DLC, so probably not." If we're getting a Fallen raid anytime soon, it would be with the Warmind DLC because they've always been connected. So we'll see, maybe. The one thing that'll kind of be disappointing, if this raid activity is not the greatest, it'll be really sad because, the Vex are my favorite. We talked about this last week. The Vex are my favorite group of enemies, and I really want something just strong and mega epic for them. So if it is... I don't want to make this comparison, but I'm going to anyways, even though it's going to trigger some people. If it is like a Prison of Elders type activity, I'll be pretty disappointed because we won't have anything just like epic and bone crushing,
I'm right there with you. Because since I want to dip more into their basically more of the Vex stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think a monster I'm calling it right now. This is going to happen sometime. So the Vex are technically Radiolaria fluid in a robot body. So they're that white liquid, the Vex milk. I want a Vex boss made 100% entirely out of Radiolaria fluid. So it's just like, kind of like how Gaul was at the end of the campaign, but he was the light. Sort of like that. Like a giant Vex Minotaur made out of this Vex fluid. I think that would be so cool.
Well, why don't we put a Terminator reference into it? A T-1000.
Yeah, like one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you shoot like you like
Yeah.
shoot his arm off, and then it just grows back.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
really cool.
He stabs you with knives made out of, you know.
Oh, I'm getting excited, man. That would be really cool. I want that now. But yeah, I wouldn't really plan on seeing the Fallen anytime soon. You got to imagine right before the Cabal raid was a Fallen raid. So if the Fallen are the main antagonists of Warmind DLC, we'll get something. But technically, I believe the next race in rotation for a raid would be the Hive. And so I guarantee if next September is the Taken Queen, as I'm calling it, that raid's gonna knock it out of the park.
It'll be Taken/Hive, if that's the...
Oh, well, yeah. But it's, Taken, Hive, they're pretty much the same thing. Yeah. I mean, even the Taken King, like, it was a Taken raid, but there were, like, 5 Taken enemies in the whole thing, like, including smaller ads. They only spawned at the very end of every encounter.
Yeah, and there was a ton of sections where there were actual Hive enemies.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the great majority of the raid was actual... I think... If I'm not mistaken, Golgoroth was the only boss that even counted as Taken, like your bullets did more damage.
Oryx had Taken.
Did he? But did he count like as a? Did your? I guess you couldn't do damage to Oryx. Yeah. So whatever. So I think that DLC will be really good. That raid, I really want another Hive raid. I was sick of the Hive. It's been long enough. Bring them back. The Hive have consistently had some of the most badass raid bosses ever. Right? Like Callus is cool, but he's a fat robot. Oryx was a freaking god. Crota was a green fiery god. Like that's awesome. That's what I want. I want a Hive dragon. Right? Oh.
No, Oryx was definitely the most menacing, like especially when you first saw him. And
just that first day when he just was like, wow, so cool.
You're like, how do we beat this guy?
Yeah, and Crota had the Borderlands reference with the gate being built. Yeah. Awesome. Just the Hive, people get sick of them. We've seen a lot of them. They're pretty freaking intimidating though.
Yeah, I don't get sick of any raid activities.
That's fair.
Raids.
That's fair.
Like, I don't care what the enemies are as long as it's got a good story and a good flow. And so, make good content. Let's say that. Right.
Let's see. Zesius says, no, we'll keep that to the end. That's a good one for the end, actually. I think we are good. Oh, if Scarrow became president, he would change all the names of Pickles to Rick. I like it. I would totally do that. So, our last discussion topic for this one is actually what we've been doing this entire time, farming exploits, and why I personally see them as a huge plus for Destiny. And so, just a little bit of background. JZ, are you still there? You're being quiet.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, good. Scaring me, man. So my favorite game prior to Destiny was Borderlands, and it was very, very farmy. And that is something I feel like Bungie has slowly shied away from, is being more and more farmy. There's some instances you could argue with the Age of Triumph, you've had to farm for tokens and that armor, and you have the prestige armor and stuff. There's some slight farmy aspects. But I like this type of tedious grind where literally I've been running back and forth for 43 minutes and 25 seconds now. Just back and forth. And I think that while there aren't immense rewards for this right now, I think this is a huge step in the right direction. I think the last time there was a faction rally, I think Bungie will see how many people are willing to stay in the same activity for an extended amount of time, and they will be like, you know what? We should put something in the game to farm. My hope is, after a while, you have the classic example, the most iconic activity in Destiny history, easily the loot cave, and that's just something where people sat there for hours and farmed. So I think after if we do this enough and we find enough of these exploits and we put enough time into it, Bungie's gonna be like, holy crap, they just want something to farm, and they're going to give us a traditional farming. Even if it's not every weapon, they're going to give us a couple. That's what I'm hoping. So, go ahead.
Yeah, so like Borderlands 2 is probably other than Destiny 1, the game that I put the most time into, period, like overall. And 90% of that was me farming bosses over and over and over again for better weapon drops. And to me, that was fun. I enjoyed that. Not, it's not everybody's cup of tea, and I understand that. But like, if you go from Destiny 1 having farmable items to zero farming whatsoever in Destiny 2, other than what we're doing right now,
Yeah.
and it makes so people like me, I move on to other games between, after it becomes dead, not dead, but like after there's
It
nothing else
slows
to
down.
farm. Yeah.
Right.
So like, right now I'm playing a game that has immense farming in it, and I love it. And it's what I wish Destiny would be. Not that I don't love Destiny, or I'm going to not play Destiny anymore, but like they bring farming to Destiny, I'm back on Destiny, that type of
Right.
thing. So I wish that they had like either strike bosses or um, bosses that drop throughout the world that you can farm, that only drop a specific piece of gear, or a piece, like a weapon or something. Give me something to farm, and it's not like everybody has to do it. Like,
That's always been my main argument with farming is if you make it something like related to the raid or just something, strike bosses,
yeah,
strike specific gear before the skeleton keys. You don't have to farm it. Like there's
no,
nothing. It's not like it's super amazing. Even if it is, like I'm all for having little bits of content that reward those people who put time into it. For instance, the Grasp of Malik before they nerfed it. If
yeah,
you put the time in and you farmed the absolute hell out of that, and you got a god roll Grasp of Malik, you tore up Crucible. And obviously there were things that could counter it at the time. Let's see, that was year 2, so things like the shotguns were still pretty good, but mostly like the LDR and all that kind of stuff. The hung jury was pretty prevalent back then. Those that meta. No One's Mercy was a really big one. So obviously, like there's kind of a disconnect there, but it wasn't if you didn't put time into it and didn't farm, you were at a supreme disadvantage. It was just that if you did, you had this really unique gun with some of the best perks and some of the fastest time to kills in the game. And that's what I want. Something that doesn't make you like super god tier, like makes you more powerful than anyone, but it rewards you in a good way where I can just go, if I have 3 hours, I can just mindlessly go and like my I think enough in life, right? Like this is my form of watching TV right here.
yeah.
Just turning my brain off and running back and forth for an hour or two,
Well,
right?
that's what I like. I would have Amazon Instant Video on TV shows that I had already watched, but I kind of wanted to like. It was like years ago, so I was kind of like paying attention to both, but not paying attention to either of them at the same time. So I was killing two birds with one stone, but I was getting two forms of entertainment without having to think much about it,
Right.
and so it was enjoyable times because like I was it's just a relaxing time where you're not highly stressed and you're just chilling, but you're still getting things done
Mm-hmm.
basically. Things that you want to do personally. So like really enjoy farming, and I hope that they bring some. I think that they're thinking of certain ways to make things farmable while still making it, because I think they went too casual. I really do, and I understand why they did it, and it reaches the majority of the fan base. But for me, that's not what I'm looking for from a game that I'm going to put thousands of hours into.
Right.
So
I think they'll bring it back. I'm
yeah,
fairly confident that they'll bring it
some
back.
kinds like they're going to do something where you can farm for some, like I don't know what it's going to be, because like I would rather just have, and here's the big Jay-Z thing, random rolls on weapons back.
There he goes. He
Yeah,
brought it back.
yep, yep.
Oh
It's a
goodness.
weekly thing now, but yeah, like if they're not going to do that, they need to come up with something like
Right. Hell, just leave this in the game. I'll be satisfied once a month. Um, I'm. I agree. I want something to farm right now. My goal is to get full sets of raid armor. I only actually need 2 pieces across my 3 characters. I just need the helmet for the hunter and the warlock. But once that happens, who knows, man? I'll still play a hell ton. I'll grind out bright engrams. I'll probably still help people through the raids. Well, we got to start doing raid carries here again. That was the thing. I got so sidetracked with the prestige raid that we kind of
took us a week and a freaking half just to beat Callus, and
yeah,
legit. Like,
and I think that's the big thing is like once the prestige raid came out, we were so set on beating it, and then by the time we beat it that week, we were just like done, right? No one wants to go back in that raid.
We lost a couple of our main team members just because of how
difficult it is, right? Well, to be fair, Cheeky says that someone cut her internet. I think she cut it herself to save herself.
Yeah. She's like, nope, I don't want to do it.
She's like, I'm never doing this stupid raid again.
Now I'm appearing offline, so we don't have to, ask me to play.
So it is difficult, but it is farming still, but I wish they would expand it more into not difficulty farming, just tedious, mindless farming. Just be able to kill a boss over and over again.
You need that kind of thing, because that's basically what public events have become. But like public events, you can farm them, but what are the rewards? The same.
Yeah, right. The same exotic 12 times in a row.
Exactly. So like. That while that is the new farming, it's not really as fun as like having a farmable boss that can drop a weapon that has X amount of rolls, or a piece of armor that has X amount of rolls, that you want to get that good rolled version of it.
Like I said, I'm pretty confident they'll put something in there. You got to think like Destiny 1 even went from, just as an example, no strike specifics to really good, the perfect strike specific meta where you had to grind out for them, and then it kind of took a turn where they guaranteed them with skeleton keys. So I'm really hoping they bring back the farming grinding strike specific. Honestly, that would probably be enough for me, at least for a really long time.
Well, nobody plays strikes like
that's what I'm saying. Like if I had to rely on RNG to get the strike, I would play strikes all the freaking time, right?
Yeah, give us something to like. Cause I don't mind doing strikes, but like there's so many people. I guarantee you, their strike playlist is like nothing.
Yeah.
Like compared to what it was in Destiny 1, because there's nothing to gain from doing strikes other than tokens and occasional exotic engram.
Which I think they're gonna start fixing it. Maybe some specific mods or something. We'll get some stuff. I'm pretty confident. But until then, these type of farming exploits, us spending hours in the weep. I saw a Reddit post today that absolutely blew my mind, but it's probably true. They said that over the past week, the weep area, which is where we are right now, has probably seen more Guardians fly in and out of it, because we're weaving into Winding Cove every time, than the farm has seen in the entirety of Destiny. And they're probably not wrong. Like, I would... You gotta think, like, in the span of this, you and I have loaded into this instance... Well, let's see how many tokens I have. So probably around 200 times. Like it's a lot, in and out, in and out, in and out. And I would not be surprised if there's been more population here than in the farm, even at launch. Which is, I hopefully Bungie sees these numbers and they're like, people just want to farm. Like I think it'll be a pretty good turn of events. I think it's a really, really good. First step, at least, right?
Yeah, because you and I are definitely on the same mindset when it comes to farming. We definitely very much enjoy it, and I know it's not for everybody, but you don't have to do it if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing. Like with I'm gonna keep going back to Borderlands because I think their system was really good. You could farm a boss for a specific legendary, or if you're more casual, go through the game, see what pops out of a chest. See what pops out of like a super badass enemy or something. Kill the warrior a couple of times. See what you get. Yeah. But those really useless legendaries that no one used, like let's say the Bada Boom, because you literally only use that if you were a jump glitcher, right? You could go farm Donkey Mong for it all you wanted. But if you weren't a hardcore player and you didn't care, never had to go seek out this randomly spawning boss. That's what I want from Destiny. I want like random world bosses. They have a chance to drop loot. Like let's use a Lurg on Io for an example. you have a chance every time you kill Lurg to get a class item that looks like his giant taken shield like on your back or something. So you're carrying around completely aesthetic, but you have a taken shield on your back as your class item because you managed to kill this guy. That is what I want. That is.
Well, I want to bring do you remember? Did you do the loot days, Borderlands?
I think I don't believe I had internet when that happened, so I don't think I was able to get the hot patch.
That was the most fun because you were guaranteed a drop from that, that character. So they would, how each boss had a specific legendary. Well, they would sometimes flip the table and they put a specific legendary on a different boss, and you had to go hunt them down and kill them, and it would drop, and all of them are random, but it was the only way to get like the what's the one that healed you, the grog nozzle. You could get the grog nozzle outside of that quest. And
yeah, I remember when they did that. Right. And
so like you could do stuff like that, and like I love that. Like that's one of my fondest memories of the game, is just going in and like doing those boss, because it was only for a day. Each day they had a different boss and they dropped a different thing, and a lot of them were rare. Like they had the one sniper, the explosive one, that was like a super rare chance from the one DLC, but they made it a guaranteed drop. But it was
the Cobra, right.
Cobra, and so you got to use some of the weapons that you never, some people never got. Like I never got a Cobra in the regular game, and I farmed that thing for days.
Yeah,
it never dropped.
There's so much opportunity, and I feel like, especially with Borderlands and Gearbox doing this weird thing where they refuse to put out a game. Yeah. This is like Bungie's time. Look, Bungie, Luke Smith, Christopher Barrett. Sorry, third guy that I don't know your name. I really apologize because I feel like a dick right now because I'm addressing you directly. Just throw in something. Just do a couple weapons. I guarantee that entire hardcore, the people, King Gathalion brought over this group of Borderlands people to Destiny, and they slowly trickled off because there wasn't super farming. You put in farming into this game, you get them all back, you get your money back.
But you can make a balance too. Like that's like you don't have to go strictly one way or another.
Right.
The casual way. Like,
I think that's what's most aggravating about it, is because we can see these clear instances in the game where Strike. I'm gonna keep going back to Strike specifics. That's a good one. Or even some adventures. I just found this out the other day. Some adventures drop exclusive gear, but it's blue. So how are you ever supposed to know that?
Yeah, or care about it? Because the second I get blue gear, if it's not 300 light or 300 power, it's
just gone. I don't pay attention to what blues I dismantle. I don't know what blues are normal, right? So if I see one, I think it's specifically one of the quests on Titan that I know for a fact gives you one, a pair of gauntlets. Like, if I see that drop, I'm not going to pay any mind to it. I'm going to delete it. Like, that's kind of a step in the right direction, but I feel like not in the right direction. Like,
well, if those were why not make them legendary? What does that hurt?
What doesn't hurt at all? You were absolutely correct.
Just make them legendary, and then wow, I got this legendary pair of gloves that I've never seen before. That's awesome.
Exactly, and especially because you can go after you complete all the adventures, you can go back to the Devrim K or whoever, and you can replay some adventures. Make it so the adventures at the end you have a chance to get this loot, and if you don't get it, you have to keep farming it over and over again. Make them good. Just give people incentive to if lost sectors, if say like all Earth lost sectors, there's like a full set of armor, and all Earth lost sectors had a chance at dropping like a specific one. So say like the ones in the Trossland could drop the boots, the one in Whiny Cove could drop the helmets. I guarantee you would see server congestion go up, and you would see these lost sectors. This right here is the only reason anyone has ever reran a lost sector, and we're not even rerunning it. Like we're running into the back end of it. Give us reason to replay it. You created this beautiful boss concept of exploring caves and abandoned buildings and stuff. Put an exclusive armor set or weapon set in there.
Yeah, and even if they do that, it doesn't hurt zero things, and it doesn't matter if players get them or not because of the way that they have armor set up in this game.
Exactly.
So you give us a specific thing. Oh, it's not better than your armor set because it's all the same, but it looks different. So you gave me something that I could farm for.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly.
And anybody can do it. Yeah.
That's it right there. Like, there's nothing really we can say on that. Like, it'd be super easy. You wouldn't have to break the game. It would please a lot of players. And I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, you have a significant portion of the community running a total of 20 feet back and forth for the entirety of a week. Like, that should be a pretty obvious clue to what type of fan base at least part of your players are. So yeah, I think that's a good place to end that. Yeah, anything else to say, or do you want to jump into community feedback?
I could rant on farming for days.
For days, yeah. Better cut it off now while we're at a stopping point. Let's see. Jason the Master, has anyone else noticed that there's only 4 strikes? You were not the only one to notice that. It looks like... wait, let's count them. I don't even know any of them. The Shrieker one, the Titan one.
Yeah, the one that was in the beta, 2.
Inverted Spire. The freaking... The one on IO. The Pyramidian. The Pyramidian, that's 3. Is there a European Dead Zone one?
Yes, it's the
one Arms Dealer.
Yep, Arms Dealer. I'm pretty sure there's 5, and then there's 6.
There's the PlayStation exclusive one. I don't think I'm missing one, man. I could be.
Okay, so the boss is Shrieker, Big Cabal dude. What's the Big Vex dude?
Is there really? Is there only 4?
I thought there was 5. Because I thought it rotated every 5 weeks as far as like Nightfalls and stuff.
Trying to think. Let's see. Is anyone in chat? You pointing out a 5th one?
Invisible Guy. Did you count?
Oh, Invisible Guy. That's him. That dickhead. Screw that guy. He doesn't count. That's not a strike. That's a freaking raid. I hate that strike. No wonder.
Long fight.
I can't believe I forgot the worst strike in the game. All right, yeah. So there's 5, 6 with the PlayStation exclusive. The way they made it sound is that there are multiple strikes coming with the Curse of Osiris. So I look forward to that.
Strikes. They definitely said, yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely plural.
And I don't think when they went through the PlayStation exclusives, I don't believe one of them was a strike. I think it was just a Crucible map. So we'll see. I'm sure they'll get an exotic too.
Well, I mean, there's so little amount of strikes in this game that they have to kind of throw the Xbox people a bone
as long as like I don't care how many there are. Like obviously like this far into Destiny or even the Taken King, I could name all the strikes without even thinking. Right? Like there's a reason we couldn't name them. So I feel like as long as the fix comes with the Curse of Osiris, with the whatever they do, or shortly after with the live team, then I'll start caring, and then I'll care how many strikes are in Destiny. But at the time, I don't really. Zesia says, what do you think about the idea of having a chance to get an exotics ornament if you dismantle that exotic? It sounds like a good idea until you realize you can just go into your vault and pull out 20 exotics and dismantle them all, and then pull them all out and dismantle them all. Because I'm sitting on...
yeah, because you can create exotics anytime you want.
Yeah, because I'm sitting on nearly 4,000 legendary shards, so I would have every exotic ornament in the game. Oh yeah, right. So I could buy 2 billion exotics and have every ornament. So sounds good in practice. Maybe every time... Well, I don't want to say that. I was going to say every time you... Like, if you dismantle... No, that's a good one. If you dismantle the exotic engram in your inventory instead of turning it in, then you have a chance.
So, like, if you have all the exotics, then you can just dismantle the engram itself. And
right.
Have the possibility of getting one. Yeah. I like that idea.
Do you think Icebreaker's coming back? No, it's too hard to balance. Never.
Nope. That's a broken gun from Destiny 1. Although one of my favorites, but broken.
Zesia, what was the first Scare 9 video you guys ever watched? Enemy Evaluation Thrall. It was terrible. Sometimes I actually do this. Just a little aside. I will occasionally like go back and watch some of my older videos, and I am ashamed that I ever put some of those out based on quality. Like I really am.
Just critiquing yourself to get better.
Like, yeah, and it's like even like I used to think my mic was all right. I used to think that I spoke really professionally, and going back, I'm like a blabbering idiot into a freaking toaster. Like, it's really bad. Yeah, if I wasn't so big on really, you know, keeping up with history and seeing how things develop and stuff, I would probably take those videos down. But I'm a big like show where you've been kind of guy. Like one of my favorite things is looking at the evolution of my thumbnails and how much I've progressed through that. I think that it would be awesome to have like a poster of like my first thumbnail and then all the way down the line to my last one. I think that would be really cool thing.
And then eventually, like Dado did with Destiny 1, you could create a like progression video of where you were at and where you've come.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Really
it probably wouldn't
that he did.
Probably wouldn't get too many views, but I think
no, I think it would. Like, I'm depending on what, you know, when you make it at what subscriber limit. Like, I think it would do well if you hit a certain sub limit and then you make it, you know, based on that, you know, where you started and where you're at.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. That's
a good video, Zesh. Yeah, it's introspective, man. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much everything. Everyone's just talking about my videos now. It's just weird, man. I hope you enjoyed the. I didn't even run all the way back. Look at that. Like, hope you enjoyed me and Jay-Z running back and forth for an hour. It was great. Good discussion. As always, great feedback, guys. You know, I know secretly that no one at Bungie ever watches these, obviously, but it's still nice. You know, spread the word of mouth. If you guys start talking about it, maybe you'll talk to someone about some of this stuff. Maybe they'll talk to someone, and somewhere down the line, maybe someone at Bungie will kind of hear our sentiment. Or even if I let you guys know about this farm and then you start doing it, maybe then the data will reflect our opinions, which is always good. But either way, it's great to hold a discussion to iron out what's really good and bad and what we should hope for in the future and stuff. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for coming out to episode 42. I've been Scaro9. You can find me at Scaro9 on Twitter and, of course, Scaro9 on YouTube. And then, Jay-Z, do your thing, man.
Jay-Z Basketball 25 on the Twitters and on Xbox Live.
Boom, there we go. Like I said, awesome episode. We're nearly at 50, which is really weird.
Yeah, that's insane.
It is really insane. Well, eight episodes, 2 months. So right around January. Oh, there's nothing special happening at our 50. Well, I'll have to pull some strings and try to get a cool guest or something. We'll see. I got those connections. All right. We'll see, man. Maybe I can line up episode 50 with 10,000 subs. That would be really cool. Yeah. We'll see what happens. But yeah, until then, thank you guys for watching. If you are catching a later version of this, like if you're on YouTube and you're catching the archived version, let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. I really want to start going back each week and looking at the top comments if anyone leaves any feedback after, because I know not everyone can catch the live version. I think it'd be really cool to acknowledge people who maybe work at the regular time or whatever. I think that would be pretty cool. But other than that, that's really pretty much the episode. So let me know what you guys think about farming exploits. If you like them, if you partake in them, down in the comment section below. And until next week, you guys have a good week, guys.
Peace.